Welcome to a special episode of UX Boost Pills. As you can see, I'm not alone today. I'm joined by UX Boost co-founder Ashley Liu, who's come to add a dash of color to our series, not just in the literal sense of breaking up the monotony of seeing me all the time, but also by sharing her colorful insights from 10 years of working in the field of UX. Let me begin by asking Ashley, what brings you here today?
Thanks, Nadia, for organizing this meeting. I would like to share my real experience working, on the battle rather than replying the common answers that you might find from the internet.
All right, I like that answer. Great. So you often talk about a user-centered design approach. Can you explain to our viewers what the key components are to implementing a successful user-centered design approach?
You may find a lot of explanations, like I said, via internet. Of course, user-centered design is the collection of the process that we focus on the users and then we develop our products. But here I would like to share you three key components that we usually practice in our day-to-day work, which we also need to change our mindset frequently. The first, we need to discover and collect the fact from our users. We don't usually say, oh, I feel, I guess, or I think. This is often we find, in the product team, people like to say, but it's not very authentic from our users. And then the second, we need to align with the business goal and the technical feasibility to leverage the design solution, because we cannot only rely on all the users' facts. We also need to achieve the goal of delivering. So I will go into deeper later. And the third one is we need to find the sweet spot to inject our creativity. As a UX designer, we need to know, not only just to present the best of what user wish, but also we need to see how can we bring innovation to the product. The first, we discover and collect the fact from the users. I usually work with researchers to dig deeper into our users' needs, pain points, besides working with the researchers to define, the learning objectives that we usually need to do, and we need to define the type of persona that we want to understand, and also prioritize them, of course, because if we don't prioritize them, we usually end up considering a lot of different type of users, and we don't know how to work on it. So prioritize is also very important. And I want to share you a tips that, work with a user journey map is actually very good structure to illustrate the possible scenarios about the users. When we zoom out, we emphasize and understand the user's action with the research data. For example, when the user's searching for accommodation for the birthday trip, what would they consider along with each phase? Let's say a persona who is very practical, time-saving type of persona, they might decide the date first and then decide, okay, where is the most convenient district for me to, commute among all the attraction spots and also my restaurant that I want to go. And then filter some preference with the facilities, to decide the hotel. But the other type of persona they might choose from, she want to go to the most famous brand villa because everyone, all the Instagram blogger was talking about it, and probably the destination where with a lot of activities can experience. So you can see from different type of persona, they have different mental models that we need to consider. And then we zoom in to see what would be each persona's pain points. And also we need to identify where is the opportunities that we can work on it with a certain context. On the other hand, we also need to align with the business goal and technical feasibility. Usually we work in the product team development phase. We need to also align with the business goal and the technical feasibility if it's possible to deliver to our users and to measure if they are satisfied. So how do we work with stakeholders and the product team in the same direction? We usually, with the business roles, they are afraid that UX people will slow down their process. So for us to understand the business objectives and propose the right UX strategy, like working plan, is very crucial to work on the user-centered design. It's one of the most important steps that we work on the user-centered design approach. Like how much percentage of the user satisfaction to impact on the business revenue. This is very important for the stakeholder. They like to know this. And it's also very important for us to align our UX goal, our achievement. So this will help us easier to communicate and convince stakeholders to, to work on the UX return of investment. And the other point is to manage the project with the time, resource, define the project scope, like the team structure, size of the deliverable, which team members you need to involve to help you to understand your users. This is on the business side that we need to align with our team. After aligning with your product team, align with our stakeholders, we need to figure out where is the sweet spot that we can bring the best innovation as a creative person. Often we listen to our users and the business owners, but it won't be the best solution because the user won't know what kind of solution that you can solve their problems, right? So we need to balance between the user's wish, business objective, meanwhile technical visibility, and also sometimes we also need to think, what can we do beyond what we don't know, what the user doesn't know. So for example, when we work on the hotel management system, we have the hotel booking trend data already in the system, right? We know our business user, they need to work with statistic report to adjust or to manage their property regularly. But we also see there is an opportunity if we can forecast the booking trend and provide to our business users about when is the right moment to adjust your booking hotel room rate, or when to maybe boost some marketing campaign to attract the users. This will be a great help to our business users to manage their properties, right? So this is what I mean, be more creative to bring something that the user won't expect. This will be another big topic that we don't have enough time to share today, but we will share in another section, of course.
Thanks, Ashley, for that last answer. I can't wait till we have another session when you can explain in more detail your ideas. I have a question. What if we don't have the support of a researcher? How can we still validate our design solutions?
This is a very common situation that we might meet through, all the product design process. Sometimes it's not because we don't have a researcher to work with us. Sometimes maybe it's just a small task that we want to validate to understand how does the user use the product. So we can easily to figure out from usability test. We need to know how to design a usability test plan and create a report. Usually designers know how to test. We bring our prototype, we ask our users, how do you think, or create some task for them to complete, and during the process we observe how do they interact with our solution. And eventually, if we also learn how do we create a report, bring the insights, this is also help us to have more quantitative numbers inside the report. For example, we might test with, let's say, 8 participants about your design, and we might discover, okay, maybe 5 out of 8 see they cannot find this button. It means that is a high probability that we need to change this button, or we need to adjust the design. So this also help us to communicate with our team, why do we need to spend extra time to change the design. Yeah, so I would say the usability test is the most common way that as a designer to validate the design solution, but also I think learn how to work on the design test plan is very important as well.
Thank you, Ashley. Good to know we have many options. And it's very important to account for bias, as you mentioned. Good training. So now zooming out, can you tell me what's different about a user-centered design approach compared to a user experience approach?
Mhm. Yeah, so we usually, user-centered design approach is really depends on the, let's say, company's working culture, product team's workflow. I have seen a lot of UX practitioner receive just wireframe to beautify it. I was also one of these UX person to receive already the solution, and I don't have the chance to understand our user. So it's most of the case is product owner or our stakeholders decide the product features. They say, oh, I know our users. Our users want to have this button like this. They like this color, and we just need to do this. So a lot of they think, they feel it's not very authentic. That's why I usually encourage to work as a user-centered design approach is we work together with the product owner, with developers, with designers. User-centered design approach is not just designer's job. We actually listen to our users together, and designer's role is most like we listen our users and we bring it to the team. We translate together to to a product solution.
Thank you for that. Very insightful. So now next question is, what advice do you have for someone that's starting out in a design career in UX?
Yeah, so I would suggest developing 3 soft skills. Here, I want to go into what kind of methodology that we should learn to start our UX career. But I think a soft skill is actually very important, not only just work as a UX practitioner, but also if you want to work in the digital industry, you want to work in the product design team, it's actually very important for everyone who want to join. So first one, problem solver's attitude. We don't rely on the previous experience. How do we solve the problems? We rely on the research findings to determine what's the key issues of our user, and we understand who is our real users. We don't just depends our experience, as I said before. Another thing is communication skill is very, very important for us to articulate user insights, innovative ideas, and talk with the stakeholders. Why do you want to do this? And I find that clear communication is one of the key success factors for the UX practitioner that to work in a day-to-day job. The third one, obviously, we stay curious, we keep learning, we keep iterating. If we find any usability problems, if we find the interaction doesn't work. So that would be a very simple 3 skills that you can practice, start by today.
Thanks, Ashley. Let me see if I got that right, because I'm someone that's also just starting out in UX. You can have a lot of numbers, but you need to know how to contextualize everything. Don't just take numbers at face value. Number 2, tell me about it. Teamwork is more and more important these days with remote working environments. And number 3, I think that's something for everybody, not just in UX. Stay curious about life and about your work. That's a really good one. Thank you. My final question is about the new and exciting venture I'm happy to say I'm a part of. UX online education platform, UXBoost Academy. Now, while I know all about it, can you please tell our users what made you to decide to establish UXBoost Academy and what's your vision behind it?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, through, let's say, working 12 years in the digital industry, I actually experienced the best UX practitioner are all from the real challenge battles. The most effective way to survive and grow, is in the real battle, right? And I find that the real treasure of how to solve a critical problem is actually from their daily practice. not just the knowledge or methods. So UX work is more about context and experience. We have to apply our knowledge and build a solution by different circumstances. However, it's a pity that I found the best knowledge and the working experience often stay in each expert's mind, right? If we don't talk to them, we don't know how do they solve the problem or how do they apply each methodologies. So I find that this is a real treasure that I want to bring. During our recruiting, we also see a lot of people have a very beautiful study background. Unfortunately, we often experience it's not as good as their hands-on and problem-solving skill as they describe. It's more on, like I said, they don't have, let's say, one hand, maybe they don't have enough platform, real working experience environment for them to exercise. But I think the most important is probably they don't have a mentor to guide them through their daily challenges, right? Therefore, we believe that we should build a platform for the UX experts to share their working experience and meet the learner, someone who really wants to learn how to solve the problem or apply the methodologies, to advise them deeply instead of just providing the knowledge only. I think that's the best way of someone who want to learn more knowledge, they want to practice and to really have a hands-on work experience.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me today on this special edition of UXBoost Pills and sharing all your insights on the user-centered design approach and UXBoost Academy, which I personally cannot wait for.
Thanks, Nadia, for organizing this interview. I hope I share enough insight for you to understand how to work on the user-centered design. Of course, that, stay with us, stay tuned for our next sharing.